Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Blooming Roses podcast. I am your host, Ashley Wilson, and this is not the official intro to the new podcast episode, but I did want to come on here and quickly say thank you to everyone who has been very patient with me during the time of relaunching this podcast, then delaying the start dates of this relaunch. Just simply because my health did take a turn, so I did need to recover from that for a while. But we are back. We are officially back, and I'm so excited to be able to talk to you guys again on the Blooming Roses podcast. Just a quick heads up that on the Blooming Roses podcast, Instagram and TikTok, there will be a quick little posting of the schedule so that you guys have the actual proper dates of when new upcoming episodes will be being put out. And this episode was previously recorded, just as a heads up, but everything that I have said in this episode, I still think that this was the most perfect and beautiful and raw episode to start this podcast with. I do want to give a little bit of a trigger warning. I do discuss the topic of grief in this episode. So if there's anyone who's sensitive to that, just be warned of that. But I do think that this is a very beautiful tribute and just raw and vulnerable episode that I wanted to share with all of you. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. So now with that, let's relaunch and hop into the new episode of Season 6 of the Blooming Roses podcast. Welcome to the Blooming Roses podcast, where we share stories of growth while blooming in adversity. Hosted by Ashley Wilson, this podcast is a Roseraie Media production. For more updates and content, follow the Blooming Roses podcast on Instagram at Blooming Roses Podcast and Roseraie Media on Instagram and YouTube. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and share with a friend. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering, where in the world have you been? What in the world happened? Or some of you are probably wondering, what is the Blooming Roses podcast? I am so glad you asked that. The Blooming Roses podcast is where we share stories of growth while blooming in adversity. This podcast was started back in, I believe, 2019. And there's been a total of 5 seasons. And on this podcast, I've had the privilege to interview so many incredible guests, including movie directors, authors, content creators, just some inspiring friends of mine who have all had such unique stories and journeys. And through all of their different experiences, they've had such incredible advice to share. And the idea of this podcast was, whenever I've had conversations with these people, they've just dropped so many words of wisdom in my life. And I thought, we should really share that with more people. And I was a guest on various different podcasts. I got my start on Unmistakably Star Wars, where we talked everything Star Wars. I was a guest on other podcasts where I talked about my experiences of living with cystic fibrosis. And I just thought one day, I want to do the same. I want to share the advice and stories of other people. So many people out there are always saying, why is this person creating a podcast? Everyone always has something to say. And yes, everyone does have something to say. And I love that everyone has different experiences and journeys. And I wanted to share it all with all of you. And we did 5 seasons of it. And I also shared my perspective of living with cystic fibrosis. And then in the midst of season 5, kind of disappeared for a bit. And I never gave any explanation. And it was always to be determined of if this podcast would ever return. And thankfully, here we are. The podcast has returned. So I thought it would be best to kind of reintroduce myself a little bit and start fresh with season 6 and kind of share where I've been, what's been going on, and what to expect from the Blooming Roses podcast now. blinding spotlight shone down on a girl who once took center stage. The curtain that once hid the scars from view was torn to shreds as the actress curtsied while the wounds reopened to bleed ruby red for all critics to review. The journey has been quite long, and sore feet clack in heels along the uneven and faded bricked road. Read more of Ashley Wilson's poems in her poetry books, Beauty Grown from Thorns and I Caught the Bouquet. Signed copies are available now on Roseraie Media on Etsy. That's ROSERAIEMEDIA, Roseraie Media on Etsy. Link is in the description of this episode.
Hello, my name is Birdie. I played Leslie in I Choose You.
You know, I thought that by being your dance partner, you would trust me by now. I would never think any less of you for something you were born with.
Fall back in love with Leslie and Thomas's story by watching I Choose You, the short film, on Roseraie Media YouTube channel. That's ROSERAIEMEDIA on YouTube. Link is in the description of this episode. So if you've never heard my voice before, I've never seen my face, because there are video episodes available to watch, but also the Blooming Roses podcast is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. But my name is Ashley. I got my start here on social media, starting my YouTube channel called Ashley's Roses. I started it right when I graduated high school back in 2016. So this is May 28th will be the 10-year anniversary of Ashley's Roses, which is crazy. But I wanted to advocate about my disease and living with this condition and kind of being a positive light out there for other people living with this disease. And for those who do not know what cystic fibrosis is, it's a genetic disease, a genetic condition where your body creates an overload of mucus, making it very thick and sticky, making it hard to breathe. It mainly focuses on the lungs, but also focuses on other different organs of the body sometimes, where that thick, sticky mucus will block the different ducts, the different passageways of the organs, and it prevents them from working properly. And it is a life-threatening disease. There is no cure for it. There's been a lot of medical advancements for it over the years, but there is still no cure. And I'm still here advocating for this disease, bringing awareness to it and talking about it and talking about this disease and what it's like living with it with other people. So that's kind of how I got my start on social media, and just sharing my story and being that positive light, because it's very easy to have a negative outlook when living with this disease. And I wanted to bring some joy into that. Claire Wineland was a YouTuber who really inspired me, along with the Fry Life and so many other people with CF and the way they were sharing their stories online. And I wanted to do the same. I've had some very dark, difficult moments living with this disease, and I thought it was time to share my perspective. And then through that, I was just able to share my life of, growing up. And I was able to vlog and share my lifestyle of my love of theater, books, movies, going to college, being a psychology major, changing majors, then becoming a film major. And now I work as an independent filmmaker in the film industry. And now I have actually directed 3 films, and I've written 3 poetry books, and starting my own company called Roseraie Media, where it allows to have a platform for other people with disabilities to share their stories and have their stories brought to life. And I've had the chance to write, produce, direct my own film called I Choose You, which shares a little bit of a journey with cystic fibrosis, but in characters who dance. And then I directed and produced a culinary documentary called Mezzaluna, and then also have written, directed, and co-produced a film called Beauty Grown from Thorns, and it is a film adaptation of my poetry book, Beauty Grown from Thorns, which there is the original version, the special edition, and there's also a third book called I Caught the Bouquet. So Beauty Grown from Thorns, it talks about my journey of living with cystic fibrosis through poetry. I Caught the Bouquet is about falling in love and having that partner come alongside you despite having cystic fibrosis and supporting you through that. And those copies are available on Amazon, but also if you want a more personalized signed version, little self-promo, you can get it on the Roseraie Media Etsy shop. So I'll have that available in the description box, but you can also find it on the links on the Instagram and platforms for the podcast, Blooming Roses Podcast. But that is a little self-promo. That's kind of a very broad range of what I've been up to and what life has been like, media-wise. But going a little bit deeper into what's been going on in my life and kind of what happened to the podcast is when season 5 occurred, I had just graduated college, and I graduated with a cinematic arts and technology degree with an emphasis with script supervising and producing. And it was in the midst of the strikes, of the Hollywood strikes. And there was nothing to do really in the film industry. I had an internship that kind of fell apart, and life was just not what I expected post-graduation life to be like. But I did have the opportunity to focus on my poetry books and then direct Beauty Grown from Thorns, which that was a whole experience of itself. And really based off of like what my podcast is, of sharing stories of growth while blooming in adversity. I was going through adversity. I was going through some pretty difficult times from 2023 to present. And I was really learning a lot about myself. And sometimes when you're going through adversity, it's really hard to kind of have that peppy, poppy personality online when I'm learning a lot from life. And it was kind of some up and down roller coaster moments, and it kind of clouded what was my vision for this podcast, what was my vision for my career, what was my vision for everything. And I didn't know really what to do. I was also in the midst of trying to start my company, and I just kind of ghosted because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And it's kind of like, I like to explain it where with my podcast, it's like, when you're watching a TV show and then you have this one random season that's just terrible. That's what season 5 was. It's kind of like that season where it's like, oof, that was a rough moment in that show. We're going to pretend that season doesn't exist. For me, that's what season 5 is. And pushed through it. Had a lot of talks with my manager of how do we bring this back to life, because I'm not ready to say goodbye to this podcast, but I have no idea what this podcast is anymore. And now we're here with a brand new season. Everything is fresh. We got some new characters. We got some new segments. We got new everything. And you have you have a new host. You have a new me. Something that I've kind of been learning is that, I'm the same person I am. Okay, to preface, I'm now engaged. I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm now engaged. I'm just realized I'm not wearing my ring. It's my ring box over yonder. But I'm now engaged, and my fiance and I have been doing premarital counseling. And there was this segment that we were reading in our book that was talking about how love will fade from time to time. And I think it was really interesting to read that because, it's like love fades. Like, how do you keep that spark alive, basically? And the discussion that my fiance and I had was that, yes, love fades, but it also grows and changes over time. And you have to work at it. It's like a plant. You have to keep watering it, but you can't give it too much water. You can't put it in the sun for too long. It has to be just an amount, but it takes time. Like, you have to tend to that plant to keep it growing. And there are times where it's going to be overflowed with water. There's going to be times where the plant is burned from the sunlight, but that plant will always grow back. And I'm like, that's kind of like how love is. Like, you have to work at it, and there's going to be times where it's going to be rough and you're going to get burnt out from life. There are going to be times where there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot going on, and it's just going to be overflowing with water, and but I'm like, it all comes down to like how you're going to take care of that love, how you're going to take care of your partner. And I think it's been really interesting having these discussions with them, because at the same time I was also realizing, we're the same people. Like, I'm still Ashley, but I'm a different Ashley. I'm not the Ashley that I was in kindergarten. I'm not the Ashley that I was in high school. Like, yes, I'm Ashley, but I've changed a lot. Like, I've grown new petals, new leaves each season, and continuously changing. And I think that's a really interesting perspective that I've started to learn about in my life, where I'm very nostalgic and I hold on to a lot of things, and I'm like, I can look back and appreciate these things about myself or these experiences, but I've also learned that, you have to let go of that leaf for that regrowth to begin. And I've really just been learning that in the quietness and the stillness, and kind of where I am now with this podcast. And I have some experiences that I want to share with all of you, so you kind of get to know me on a different level, but also still sharing the advice of others as well, and the knowledge that they've been able to impact on me, the knowledge they've been able to give me that has made an impact in my life. And I'm not going to be bringing on guests as much as I did before, because of my schedule, it's very difficult to do so. But we're gonna, every once in a while there will be guests that appear on here, and we're still figuring out how that will work. But in the meantime, there's a new element and a new way that guests can be brought onto this podcast. And if you're watching this episode right now, you'll see them holding up this journal that has a bunch of music notes on it. And this journal got started in high school. My junior year of high school, I went to my friends and teachers and different people who had made an impact in my life. And I asked them to write a letter of advice and support as I started my college career. And this was back when I was having every intention of going to Broadway and also being a theater teacher. And then it changed to studying psychology to become an occupational therapist. So this book did not continue on when I switched majors to become a film major, but I reopened this book because the intention of this book was I was not going to open it until my first day of college, of university, because I did 2 years of community college. So I started this junior year of high school, did not open it for 4 years, and read it on my first day at university. And I've reopened it, and there's a lot of knowledge and advice and wisdom that they've given me, friends and mentors, and even if it's people who are no longer in my life, still the words that they have given me are so powerful and inspiring that I wanted to share it with all of you. So season 6 is the time capsule season, and I am so excited to dig into this and reflect. And every few episodes read a couple letters and kind of talk about it. I wanted to start this time capsule episode with someone who was very important to me, and this person also wrote me a letter, and it's time stamped May 28th, 2016, which is actually the 10-year anniversary of the Blooming Roses podcast. And I just got a notification that my camera has 4 minutes left. So we're going to pause, and I'm going to switch out the camera cards. So we're going to take a brief intermission, and we will come back to this. The camera battery died, so if the camera positioning is not the same, for those who are watching this episode, my apologies. But as I was saying, season 6 is the time capsule season. And to start this episode and to start this time capsule journey, I'm going to be reading a very special letter and highlighting someone who is very important to me. And this letter is actually time stamped or date stamped with May 28th, 2016, which is actually the 10-year anniversary of Ashley's Roses. So it is very fitting to have this as the very first one, as I'm celebrating coming upon 10 years of Ashley's Roses. Did I say podcast? Okay. I'm going to start over. Okay. So, we are back from the brief little intermission. For those who are watching this, the camera setting may be slightly different. The camera, or the SD card had 4 minutes left, so I had to replace the other one. But as I said, season 6 is the time capsule season. And to start off and to kick off this time capsule season with episode 1, I thought it'd be perfect to read this letter that is marked with the date May 28th, 2016, which is the 10-year anniversary of Ashley's Roses. So it's very fitting as I'm coming, May is just the celebratory month for 10 years of doing social media. So this is just part of the celebratory month. But the person that we are highlighting, the wisdom that we are highlighting, is the one and only my Aunt Aljita. So she wrote, "Dear Ashley, I am proud to be called your aunt. You are an inspiration to many. You are an expression. You have a loving spirit for the world to enjoy. You told Deshaun back in 2004 in Orlando, Florida, it's not about you, it's about everyone. You spoke the truth. That's what I live by. No matter who you are, everyone is special in their own way. God gave us a gift when they gave us you. I am grateful I have been able to travel your journey with you. You sent me a bookmarker back in 2004. Instead of using it as a bookmarker, I placed it in my truck over the rearview mirror and placed a guardian angel pin on it. It still hangs there today. Live your life to the fullest and make all your dreams come true. I love you with all my heart, Aunt Aljita." The reason why I wanted to start episode 1 highlighting my aunt is because she has always been one of my number one supporters. Of course, my parents have been my number one supporters, and I've had a lot of support of friends and family over the years who have supported me. But someone who was always so intentional with their time with me and always interested in every single thing I was doing was my aunt. And she was the type of person who came to everything. If she said she was going to come visit you, she was going to come visit you. And I have so many incredibly special memories with her. And, when I told her I was starting a YouTube channel, I think she was honestly like one of the top 2 subscribers to my YouTube channel. She goes, okay, let me subscribe right now. When I had no videos on it yet, she subscribed. She followed all the pages. She followed all my Instagram pages, everything. I think she had her post notifications turned on because every time a video was posted, she liked it. Every time a story was posted, she hearted it. She commented. She reposted it. She told people at her job all about my work. And she really invested a lot of time into my life. She was there for every celebratory thing, high and low. And she made these annual trips to come out twice a year to come and see me and my family and spend time with us. And last October, it was one of the times that I would always see her. I wasn't able to go because I was contracted to a job. And she said, no problem, I'll come to you. And she didn't have to do that, but she chose to do that. And she came down and I said, okay, what do you want to do? And she said, anything you want to do. And I go, well, you gotta be specific. And she goes, okay, let's go to Disney. And I go, Disneyland or downtown Disney? And she goes, the place you always go to. So I took her to downtown Disney and I go, okay, we'll do whatever you want. She goes, I want to go and see and do all the things that you always do when you come here. So I took her to all my favorite shops, and she loved seeing my favorite things and my favorite places, and understanding the why of everything. She was the type of person that she could read me like a book. She knew when I would be dropping Easter eggs about things, and she knew that I was doing cryptic messages in my Instagram posts and such because she knew that I was preparing to drop something or promote something, or I was working on something. She knew, like, I'm always very intentional of the posts that I post and the songs that I choose, and she knew that. And she knew, oh, my niece is getting ready to do something. And, even before I talked about it on social media that I was engaged, I was hiding my left hand in videos. So I was filming with my left hand instead of my right because I always film with my right. And she noticed that immediately. And she's like, I was wondering why you're hiding your left hand. She goes, I had a feeling. I knew you're engaged. You just hadn't told anybody yet, but I was going to wait. I was going to wait until you told me. And she was the type of person who always validated me and made me feel seen. And I tell people that she is the Wilson who made me know what it is to be a Wilson. And all my different struggles and my insecurities that I had or have been learning to outgrow, she saw where I was at, and she would always encourage me. And, whenever I had a crazy dream or anything like that, she never made my dreams feel crazy. Last time I was with her, I told her every single book that I want to write. I told her all the different stories and the reason why I wanted to write those stories. I told her about the films that I wanted to make. I wanted to tell her the films that I wanted to produce. And she kept saying, yep, and you're going to do that. And we'll be there to see it when you do. And I think it's so important to have someone like that in your life to build you up. Even if it's just an idea, you hold on to that idea, because that idea will take you far. I watched movies and I love theater, and I've been able to take the love of both and do what I do now, and I love it. And so for those who, when you tell your dream to and they squash it, those are not the right people to be supporting you and growing that spark and helping you bloom And my aunt truly was the person who helped me bloom and grow and supported videos that were so cheesy to then being there for the premiere of my third film that I've directed, of premiering it in a sold out movie theater. She was there to witness it all.
I choose you. I always have. Maybe it's time you choose yourself.
The film that started it all, now something you can keep. I Choose You is the film Roseraie Media was built on. Now it lives beyond the screen in pieces you can hold, wear, and carry with you. This special collection of I Choose You exclusive drop runs from June 22nd to July 19th only. You can shop now on Roseraie Media Etsy store. That's ROSERAIEMEDIA on Etsy. And for her to also see my journey and growth of growing up has been incredibly special. And it's so important to have mentors or family or support or friends who do that for you. And throughout my journey of life, I've had several people do that, of supporting me. But I think there's a special relationship between a niece and an aunt, and I can say I'm very grateful for my time with her. And something I've been kind of reflecting about is that it's funny because I was telling someone about my wedding that's coming up and getting engaged and the latest film project that I worked on and all these things. And they said, wow, like you're really living the life. Like everything is just falling into place. Like you're just having the best year of your life. And it's funny because it also reminded me at the same time of like doing all this content and doing all this stuff. And yes, I've been away from the podcast, but still posting things. Social media really is, I say this time and time again, social media is a highlight reel. And you don't see a lot of the growth that's happening in the dark. You don't see the pain that's happening in the dark. You don't see the adversity, the pain, like everything that someone is going through. And you just see the moment that they're blooming and they're glowing and they look fantastic, but you don't see the work that's being put into that to get to that point. And I found that text message just so kind of just, like I said, a reminder, because at that time, yes, all these great things were happening and I found my dream wedding dress and all these things. But at the same time, when that message came in, I was at one of the lowest points in a long time. And I'd wrapped working on my first Hollywood film, and then I got engaged, and then got to go on this most amazing, relaxing trip to spend time with my future in-laws. And then I got back and was given the news that my aunt is now in heaven. And it happened very unexpectedly. And my entire world flipped upside down. And it was hard, and it's still hard. And going through life right now of wedding planning and grieving and continuing to pursue my dreams and doing content and such, it's been difficult. My manager did tell me today that I seem like I'm in a better place, and she's known me since high school, so she knows me well, and it's true. I am, and I'm getting there, but it's taken work. It's taken therapy. Yes, I started going to therapy. I often joked about it for years of like, oh yeah, maybe I'll go to therapy. No, I've been going to therapy, and it has been helping. And life is different now, and it's hard that I'm no longer getting those notifications from her. And it's hard that a lot of traditions are no longer. It's hard that on the wedding day, she's going to have a front row seat from up above. But I know she'll be there. But it's hard to go through life when sometimes you are blooming in life, but also going through adversity at the same time. Or sometimes you're going through adversity, but you're faking it till you make it to look like you're blooming. And, in that moment when I received that text message of like, you seem to have like, life is great, you're on the top of like, life is just, everything is falling into place. That person said that, seeing all the beauty that was occurring, but not even knowing the brutal pain that I was going through at that time. And I think throughout the past 4 months of this, I've learned it's okay when you have days where everything just isn't how you expected. But sometimes, even through the darkest moments, you're still going to find those hummingbirds. You're still going to find those pieces of beauty. And whenever I see a hummingbird, I know that's my aunt. And, I think in season 5, I was going through it, and I was just struggling, and I didn't know how to express how I was feeling. I didn't know how to, say all these things, and I was so frustrated with so many things, and it was just eating me up. And then now, I've gone through so much, but I've learned through so much within this adversity. And I've just kind of learned, it's okay when things don't go according to plan. It's okay when life stings. But how you react is what's most important. Are you going to take it out on yourself? Are you going to take it out on others? What can you learn from this? Can you find any beauty? And I think in January, when I was really at my lowest, and my eyes would be puffy from crying and just feeling pain, the things that were getting me through the day was, you know what? I'm still here. God still has me here for a reason, and I'm still here. I don't know why, and I will probably never know why, but he called Aunt Aljita home for a reason, and she impacted so many people, and how we continue to live our life and do all the things that we promised. I promised her I'd write those books. I promised I'd make those movies. And I still intend on doing that. And my manager keeps me to it. My fiance keeps me to it. My cousins keep me to that. They keep me accountable so that I still continue to follow my dreams, because she knew how passionate I was about writing and creating the stories. And everyone else knows that too. And that's a promise I made to myself, and that's a promise I made to her. So even in those darkest times, the beauty of I'm still here for a reason. I don't know why God called her home, but she made an impact. And like I said, we're going to continue to live out her legacy by following our dreams and doing the things that we said we would. And, live your life to the fullest and make all your dreams come true. And she so did live her life to the fullest. And so I don't know where any of my listeners are at or how they're doing and what's going on in their life, but you're still here. And if you can look and find those hummingbirds, look and find for that beauty, even on the darkest days, you're still here for a reason. That hummingbird came to you for a reason. It's time to get up and take that next step. Get up out of bed. And if you got out of bed today and that's the biggest thing that you've done, that's great. You're still here. And I think that's the biggest thing that I can stress is sometimes there's different wins for everybody. And if that's a win, that's a win. But at the end of the day, blooming in adversity, no matter the adversity that you're facing or have faced, you're still here for a reason. And God still has you here for a purpose. And I truly believe that. And I will always encourage that to other people. I know this first episode is a lot, especially we got deep. But, this is my intention with this podcast. Sharing words of wisdom from other people, what they've done, what they've instilled in me, and sharing it with all of you. Because all of that matters. I feel like everyone, yes, all the podcasting people, they always say, like, everyone has something to say. Everyone's starting podcasts. Everyone's talking. Everyone's doing this stuff. Yes, we all have something to say. And I think that portion of communication and that portion of expression and just human connection is so important, especially now more than ever. And I'm excited to share this journey with you, and I'm excited to share future moments of inspiration and words of wisdom. So with that, I'm going to wrap up episode 1, season 6 of the Blooming Roses podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you will subscribe and follow the Blooming Roses podcast on Instagram for more upcoming episode sneak peeks and content. And you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well at ashleys.roses. But with that, remember to be the rose that blooms in adversity. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Hosted by Ashley Wilson, this podcast is a Roseraie Media production. For more updates and content, follow the Blooming Roses podcast on Instagram at Blooming Roses Podcast and Roseraie Media on Instagram and YouTube. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and share with a friend.